What is up, everyone? How are you guys doing this fine evening? This is the CLG Faithful Podcast, episode 57. My usual co-host, Nefarious, is currently doing a special episode with a special guest. You are doing another interview. It should be awesome. That should be going live later on this week, and it is with Captain Jack. So that should be a fantastic interview. If you guys are looking for more kind of like background on the video content producers of CLG and how all those things are just kind of tied together and done up, that should be a great listen. Anyways, it's just me today, so we can get kind of both things done up right out the gate on the same day. And oh boy, has it been a week. Wow. So we'll start off with some League of Legends as usual. And we'll start with the Academy teams here. So we've got our games last weekend, were versus Academy, Echo Fox Academy and FlyQuest Academy. The first game being against Echo Fox Academy, and man, this was a great game. Tuesday dominated on Anivia, going 9-3-8, and Omargard pulled out a Pocket Warwick. Overall, CLG played amazing and won the game. Versus FlyQuest Academy, who is actually one of the top teams in the Academy scene, was a bit of a controversial game, actually, due to a bug with Zach using his ultimate, Let's Bounce, onto the middle section of wall where there's kind of the gank brush for top lane on red side. It's got top red side. There's the little brush, and there's like a little point out of the wall. And if Zach lands with Let's Bounce there on the initial leap in the right spot, he can't reactivate his ultimate to get that second bounce to bring everything back to wherever he wants to go, or to shuffle enemies around. And that bug ends up playing a big part in the game, in that CLG doesn't get a pick onto the Kog'Maw that they should have gotten because Kog'Maw was trapped in Zach's ultimate. Now, ultimately, Riot Games gets the final call on this, and because this is an NA LCS Academy game, it's played over the live realm, so it's not actually in LAN. So this is just played on an online tournament. And so that means that they don't have access to tools such as Chrono Break, which they would have normally in an NALCS or finals game, where they could just roll back the game about, 5 minutes or to a point earlier on where it was nothing bad was lost. So because of that, Riot offered a remake to CLG Academy, who accepted the remake. Now, at the time of this offer, CLG Academy was down 5k gold and in a pretty bad spot. There were some weird tweets out afterwards. Coach Rico makes a mention of if FlyQuest Academy hadn't been guaranteed a playoff bye, then they wouldn't have accepted the remake, or they hadn't been guaranteed playoffs, then CLG Academy wouldn't have accepted the remake. Now, a lot of people aren't really sure what to think of that, and to the point where if they weren't guaranteed into playoffs, CLG would not have accepted it and let it play out. I don't know. It's a weird situation. Either way, the game is remade, and wow, CLG Academy absolutely decimated FlyQuest Academy. FlyQuest only got 2 kills on their mid laner that entire remade game. CLG crushed them. There's definitely some controversy there. Mainly from people who are on FlyQuest side, obviously. Overall, it was a call from Riot Games, who said it's a game-breaking bug. You can be offered a remake, and CLG accepted it. That's all there is to it, basically. So that's a 2-0 week for CLG Academy, which means that their playoff dreams are still alive, actually. It's rather insane to think, but they do actually still have the chance of getting into playoffs, which, considering how they started off going absolutely awful, was insane. So currently they are sitting at 8-8. Now it's only the top 4 teams in the academy standings that actually get to go into playoffs. Now they are basically down 1 game to Echo Fox Academy, who are 9-7. That basically means that if CLG Academy goes 2-0 next week and Echo Fox Academy loses 1 game, they would go into a tiebreaker, I do believe, which would mean that, well, actually, it might not be a tiebreaker. I don't know if CLG has beaten Echo Fox Academy both times. That is something I don't have on me right now. I apologize. If they have, then if Echo Fox Academy loses 1, CLG Academy goes 2-0, then CLG is in. If we go 1-1 or 0-2, obviously not happening. But yeah, that's fantastic news for basically CLG Academy. They're making a great comeback, just like the CLG main boys, which we will move into right now. So, versus FlyQuest Gaming, the first match of the weekend for CLG, and this was quite the doozy of the game. Now, Rainover had some really amazing early game plays on Sejuani. It was absolutely beautiful. They don't get first blood with him, but due to first blood, a first blood exchange where Biofrost goes down and then Stixay gets the kill onto FlyQuest's ADC. It was such a weird thing. It was an advantage for CLG because now Stixay gets to stay in lane, get a few levels, and then Rainover comes down right away to make another gank as soon as FlyQuest bot lane arrives back in lane, and it goes well. And from that point on, it looks like, wow, okay, great. CLG is just gonna freaking crush it this day. Not quite. FlyQuest, after some bad CLG calls, like engaging FlyQuest and FlyQuest securing Baron, CLG actually fell about 8k gold behind. However, Big Dixay decided that no, he was not going to lose his playoff dreams and pulls off a total 91,000 damage in this game. 91,000 damage. He basically took all the damage that his team had dealt and then almost doubled it. Like, it was insane. He dealt so much damage that game. The graph was basically just everyone else didn't matter. Off of a crazy Baron sneak, though, CLG powers up a cannon menu with Banner of Command and pushed in for the win. And the whole crowd was just chanting 1, 2, 3 as this cannon minion that's Baron buffed and Banner of Command up just chunks the towers down. But this game was very up and down, and a great stall out by CLG. Stixay played his heart out, and like I said, he keeps the playoff dreams alive. CLG wins the game. A great stall out, not the cleanest game from CLG there. They definitely could have pushed that early game advantage that Rainover had really brought to both his bot lane and his mid lane. He gave 2 or 3 really good ganks for who he mid lane. He gets the flash off of FlyQuest mid laner, and then from there he returns again, ready for him, where they get the kill onto Stixay after like a short chase, onto Huhi after a short chase. It was a beautiful start. And then they kind of fumbled it down like typical CLG mid games, like fumbles the mid game. What are we doing? Late game, Big Dixay pops off and just goes insane. He ended up with like 13 kills. Crazy. So we'll move on to game number 2, which was probably one of the biggest games for CLG to kind of show off. They're up against Echo Fox, top team in the league. They're already 1-0 on Echo Fox. That's this season. And wow, this was quite the beautiful symphony by CLG. This was just a well-oiled CLG coming off of huge just morale advantage of that previous game, getting that come from behind win, and coming up against Echo Fox, knowing that they've got the game on one game on Echo Fox already, and it's just beautiful. Stixxay playing Varus has a 7-0-7 game, crushing their bot lane and towers. This was a really clean game by CLG, and it's a really good, hopefully, indicator of what's to come next week. Now, let's actually talk about that a little bit, because at this point, we're looking at playoff dreams. So there's all the Savage memes out there, but CLG is in a very precarious situation for playoffs. There is a very, very... There's a decent chance, I want to say. It's okay. Unfortunately, our chances rely on some rather weak links. So there's a few ways CLG gets to playoffs. And that is TSM has to go 0-2 next week, or Team Liquid has to go 0-2 next week. So, yeah. We control the potential of TSM going 0-2. TSM plays Golden Guardians on Saturday next week. Now, Golden Guardians is the bottom barrel team. However, they have had some upsets in the past. And that could be good. Basically, if Golden Guardians manages to beat TSM on Saturday, that will leave CLG in a very Madison Square Garden-esque situation, where beating TSM means that we go to a tiebreaker for that playoff spot. Now, there's also the option here of Team Liquid going 0-2, but there's... So, TSM plays Golden Guardians, who, I mean, on paper, they should win. On paper, TSM should crush Golden Guardians. And then basically, the TSM CLG game doesn't really matter at all. Well, okay, it does matter, but not for TSM. TSM has to win one game, and they're in. Team Liquid wins one game, they're in. They might play a tiebreaker for 5th, 6th spot, because they would have exact records if they both go 1-1. I'm not sure. Doesn't matter to me, because I wouldn't care at that point. However, so Team Liquid is coming up against Cloud9 and Optic. So Cloud9 is kind of a, well, like, they're basically in the same position as Liquid, right? They're in the top standings of the split. Cloud9 is in 2nd place. Well, actually, they're tied for 1st with Echo Fox. Liquid down in 5th, tied for 5th with TSM right now. So it's at that situation where ideally Cloud9 will beat Team Liquid. However, last week we saw that TSM beat Cloud9 down. Now, if Cloud9 had won against TSM, that means that we would have had a double chance. So if we went 2-0, TSM still could have won against Golden Guardians, and we would be in a position to not have to worry as much about Golden Guardians. But that's unfortunately not the case. So our second chance with Liquid is that Liquid is playing Cloud9 and they're playing Optic. Now, Optic is tied for last with Golden Guardians, which kind of sucks for us. So basically, the two teams we need to go 0-2 are both playing the bottom barrel teams right now. Even bigger thing is that Team Liquid against Optic Gaming is the absolute last game of the split. So even if TSM or Liquid, if Liquid loses the Cloud9, which they should, on Saturday, and TSM beats Optic and then beats CLG beats Optic and then beats TSM, we still have to wait for the results of Liquid versus Optic if TSM beat Golden Guardians. Oh, that would be soul crushing, because then we have no control over if we make it into playoffs. That would suck. That would greatly suck. I would absolutely not want that to be the case. But who knows? Who knows what we're going to be looking at on the weekend? There's so much out there that could, there's so many things that could go wrong. Could go wrong or could go right. Golden Guardians beats TSM. That would be amazing. They wouldn't be our saviors, but they would be giving us a fighting chance, and it would be awesome. Because who doesn't want the final game of the split to be the oldest rivalry in NA LCS, being CLG versus TSM, to see who gets to go to playoffs? Ideally, we would be top of the league right now as usual, and crushing it and not having to worry about this. But could you write a better script? Two teams that were basically considered to be best in the league coming into the split. Everyone had C9, TSM, CLG all sitting there at the very top, and now they're potentially fighting over that last spot into the playoffs. A little crazy. So let's hope that we kind of see Team Liquid get into a slump and basically go 0-2 next weekend. That would be awesome. TSM go 0-2, and then, it's like a three-way. If we go 2-0 and Team Liquid and TSM both go 0-2, that would put us into a three-way tiebreaker, I believe. Because Team Liquid is not... We've beaten Team Liquid once, and I believe Team Liquid has beaten us once. And that's the same with TSM. I'm not sure about the standings between TSM and Liquid. I don't know the match history off the top of my head there. So Liquid has lost to TSM once, and then TSM... Have they beaten Liquid? Or has Liquid beaten TSM? I'm just quickly looking to see if that... And Liquid has... So, oh, wow. It would be... Everyone is 1-for-1. 1-1 if we beat TSM. That's insane. That's actually quite the tiebreaker to think about there. That would be quite the tie-breaking situation. I'm not sure how that would exactly be run out. I don't know the full-on rules of tiebreakers for the NALCS, but I know if there's a three-way tiebreaker, there's some special rules, which would make it a very interesting and potentially very long evening for all players and referees involved. Well, why don't we move on from there into some Smash? Because that is starting to rack my brain, and to think about that more would make me, Savage memes cannot destroy our playoff dreams, ladies and gentlemen. They cannot. All right, let's move into some Smash Bros, where we had the Enthusiast Gaming Live Expo, which actually happened in Canada, in Ontario, in Mississauga, actually. Pretty cool. SFAT and PewFat, our boys, they were there. They were playing in both singles each, and they were playing as PewFat. Who doesn't like a good PewFat run? Which is what we will start with. So, in the winners bracket, or in the winners pools, SFAT, PewFat face off against Sham Savior and Gifka, who they beat 2-0. They then face off against Tranimal and Kyle, again a 2-0. And Hungrybox and Crush, who they beat 2-0. That feels good, beating Hungrybox, not going to lie. Next, into the winners semi-finals bracket, they go up against AMSA and Axe. I mean, AMSA is always tough. That Yoshi is just insane. He's crazy. SFAT PewFat actually fall to the AMSA Axe duo 1-3, meaning they get knocked into the losers bracket, where they face off against Crush and Swedish. I'm not sure why Crush wasn't playing with Hungrybox, but okay. Who they beat 3-0. Then the PewFat duo faces off against La Luna and Ice, who they beat 3-0. Once again, they find themselves in the losers final against AMSA and Axe. Except this time, they reverse the scoreline and beat them 3-1. Then comes their current nemesis, I think, their nemesis in doubles, being Plup and Mewtwo King. These guys have been tough, and they definitely gave, it was a run for the money for this one. Came down to the last stock. Unfortunately, PewFat just couldn't bring it out, and Mewtwo King and Plup take the game 3-2. This means that SFAT PewPew finish in second place. Pretty good showing, especially considering PewPew hasn't really played in competitive Smash in a little while that I know of. You know, it's SFAT's been to some events, and Void's been to some events, but PewPew has been a little MIA. And I mean, it kind of went to show. PewPew was seeded 14th in this event, whereas SFAT was seeded as 6th. So a bit of a difference there for them. Where now we'll move into singles and get into PewPew going up against Stinger in his pools, who he beat 2-0. Unfortunately, he then finds Faust, who beats PewPew 2-0. Meaning that PewPew is knocked into the losers bracket for his pools, where he faces off against Toasty and beats that guy 2-0. Marco64 was the next one on the chopping block, who he beat 2-0, and Tranimal, who he also crushed 2-0. Coming into the losers round 1, he faces off against KJH, and in what must have been quite the battle, PewPew unfortunately falls 2-3. Meaning that PewPew finishes in 25th place. Kind of an unfortunate showing for his first kind of showing this year, I believe. I don't think PewPew has played professional or like kind of like outside of maybe a small event in the last little while, which kind of sucks because I love the guy. Unfortunately, he does take it 25th place. So we'll go on to SFAT now, where in his pools he faced off against Husky, who he beat 2-0. G-Pipes was next up, and he crushed him 2-0. R2D Liu was the final pool's opponent for SFAT, who dropped to him 2-0. Into the winners round 1, he faced off against AMSA, the dirty boy who almost knocked him out of the doubles tournament. SFAT's like, none of that crap, 3-0's him. Next up was Mewtwo King, and oh boy, man. Like, Mewtwo King kind of... About a year ago, Mewtwo King was not having his best Smash career times. He wasn't, like, he was kind of hurt, and it seemed like he was a little shaken up or just kind of like not happy with his play. Holy crap, he has come back strong. Mewtwo King actually beats SFAT 3-0 here on the Marth. Into his losers bracket, he comes up against Duck. Now, this dirty Samus player has proven pretty difficult for SFAT in the past and has ended at some of SFAT's runs previously. Not this time, though. SFAT beats Duck 3-1. Next was Ryan Ford. I always like chuckle at that guy's name. I don't know why. And I think it's just because of that weird mayor of Toronto that was just, let's not go there. SFAT gets a run for his money, but does end up beating Ryan Ford 3-1. Moving into the losers quarterfinals, he faces off against Wizrobe. And Wizrobe plays probably my favorite Smash character, Captain Falcon. I think Captain Falcon is the best Smash character ever. However, SFAT probably is cursing that today or the last few days. Wizrobe actually knocks SFAT out of the tournament by beating him 3-1. This means that SFAT does finish in 5th place, and that's not a bad showing. He finishes higher than he seeded into the event. Ideally, I mean, for an event like this, it would be great to see SFAT win. There was some pretty decent players here. You know, you got Mewtwo King. AMSA makes the trip over. You know, La Luna made the trip up as well. It would have been great to see him in the top 4, but you know what? Overall, it wasn't too bad at all. A little disappointing from PewFat. However, you know, for his first kind of foray this year, it's not too bad to have him kind of, you know, only make it so far. And yeah, that's basically the esports news and kind of for this week. Not a ton happened, but we can go over some next week stuff. So again, we have TSM and Optic Gaming that we are up against, which means our LOL Academy team is also up against TSM Academy and Optic Academy. The main, we also have some Smash. SFAT PewFat is going to be at the Mango on the 18th. And some Rainbow Six Siege comes back with the Rainbow Six Pro League. I believe that just started up. And so our team is going to be playing against Rogue in a best of 3. That's going to be happening March 19th at roughly 6 p.m. PST. So if you guys have never caught some live Rainbow Six Siege professional play, maybe think about tuning in, because, I mean, on the 19th, there's not going to be a whole lot else to watch, considering that's basically a Monday at evening. Aside from listening to this podcast after it's been recorded and posted. Ha-ha! All right, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully next week, depending on the outcome of the games, we will have a very good podcast for you. And when CLG gets into playoffs, we will be discussing that in full. So expect like a longer podcast, maybe a bonus podcast if we have the time for the playoffs when CLG gets in, because I mean, it's going to be guaranteed, you know. That is going to happen. So thank you guys very much for listening up to this point. This has been the CLG Faithful Podcast. We are a weekly podcast. We go over all things CLG. If you enjoy what we do, then please do think about taking a second to like us on or follow us on Twitter, subscribe on YouTube, give us a ratings on iTunes or Google Play. We're also on Discord if you want to join us for our live game chats. And as a final note, we love getting feedback. Send us your thoughts over at clgfaithful@gmail.com, and we do promise to respond. Thank you guys very much for listening. This has been Archrin, and remember to check out that freaking interview if you're listening this far. That will be posted hopefully later this week. And please remember to keep it awesome. Peace.